So today is lesson 12. It's our second last class. We've just been talking a little bit about how we would go about setting up web hosting. And we're going to want to resume work. We're going to resume work with our PHP gaming site. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Sorry, with the food type. Thank you, Adil. I get my sections mixed up. So let's get our project fired up. I'll connect to the VPN. I think I should have XAMPP running already. So I was playing around with this a little earlier today. Yeah, my Apache server is already running. I'll open up project in PHP Storm. And I actually built out as a sample what we're going to do today. So I can even show you the end product before we start. I'm going to have to restart PHP Storm. All right, we'll try that again. So I'm going to open up a kind of a copy I have. I took a duplicate of the project. So we're going to add the ability to sort and filter our grocery list. So almost all of the work we'll be doing is just on this one page for today. So here's my test. Here's our lamp food project. So this is what it looks like currently. This is what it's going to look like when we're done at the end of the day. So first of all, my list is going to be sortable. So I can click on any one of these three columns and it will sort A to Z. Not that the sorting on name or quantity is that useful, but certainly the ability to sort by category is useful. Right? We're in the store. We want to be able to see all the items in that one section. We're also then going to add two filtering options. So here, for example, I could filter so that I only see the items in the selected category. I can then just remove the filter. I can also search by keyword. So this will bring up any food items that match. And it could even be a combination. So if I choose, let's say, bread and dairy, I'll get nothing. But bread and bakery. So we're going to implement first maybe we might implement the drop-down search first, and then we'll add the keyword search after. Okay, so this is kind of what we want our project to look like at the end of class today. So our first step is we want to enable this column sorting. And we're just going to use a little bit of JavaScript for this. So I'm going to actually close. We really only need to open a couple of files for today. So I'll close everything for now. And there's a link on D2L in the lesson 12 folder that I want you to follow because there's a JavaScript, an open source JavaScript library that we're going to download and include in our project. And that's going to give us this table sorting functionality. So in the lesson 12 folder, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is the lesson 12 folder. The item here that you need is this one, Sortable, JavaScript for sorting HTML columns. So click on this item. It's going to jump you over to the demo site. So gives us an example of an HTML table here. But once we enable the JavaScript, it makes any of the headings clickable and also gives us a little ascending or descending icon in any column. And then in the middle of the page, there's some really simple instructions. 1, download the library. 2, link to the library. 3, add class of Sortable to our table tag. So we're going to do all these things. So here's the link. So in this section in the middle where we see the red links, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click where it says in red, the JavaScript library, and I'll choose Save Link As. And I'm going to save it into my htdocs, lamp food, and we want it to go in the JS folder. So we're going to add it to the Bootstrap JavaScripts as well as our own custom scripts file that has our, I think it has our confirm password script and our delete confirmation script. So just save it into your JS folder. We don't need to modify this file. We can use it as is. We're then going to link to it in our header. So we can see it now in our JS folder. Here's the sortable.js. I'm going to open up my header. So table sorting from, and I'm going to include the link. Right? It's not our code, it's a third-party library, so we should give the developer credit. And I actually haven't done this on my other JavaScripts, but for best practice, I'll defer the loading. I'll add this to the other 2 JS files we've got as well. The defer is not required, but it's probably a good idea. So we've already done 2 of the 3 steps, and then I'm going to add a 4th step to it. Okay, so add in the JavaScript link in your header. So step 1 was download it. We've done that. Step 2, include a link to the script library. We've done that. Step 3, add the class of Sortable into any HTML table. Now notice the note is important. Notice the library is called Sortable with 2 T's. But the actual class definition that we attach to the table is Sortable with 1 T. So I'm going to go to my items page. And here's our table tag on line 28. So in here, I'm going to add the Sortable class. So this should now make our column headings clickable, and when we click, the table data should resort automatically. So just add sortable into the existing class definition that we already had. We're already using 3 Bootstrap classes. We're now adding a 4th class in that JavaScript file. So now when I refresh my grocery list, it doesn't look any different, right? It looks the same. But if I click on one of the column headings, the table will now resort so it's already functional. Pretty simple. Now, there's one more way I think we can improve this. This is functional, but from a user experience perspective, it's somewhat limited. What's the problem with it? Even though it works. How could we improve upon what we've got so far? Okay, there is no way to reset it. That's true, Megan. I just have to go back here. Adam, the user chooses how to sort it. Sorry, Adam, can you explain a bit more? I'm not sure I quite understand what you mean. Yeah, I suppose that would be possible, although this is typical that when we click, it sorts one way, and if we click again, we sort another way. So yes, we could do that, but most sites where we can sort tables will work like this. So for example, so usually clicking it one way and then clicking it the other way will toggle it. So, if I want to sort by goals for, right? So usually they toggle from ascending to descending. Well, what's the difference visually? What's the difference between here? Right, that's the big one I was thinking of, Chris. Right, this library, when I put my mouse over the column headings, there's no indicator to the user, oh, this is a link and I can click it. So even though the sorting's enabled, most users probably aren't going to realize it's enabled. Whereas here, when we mouse over the column headings, right, we get the little hand cursor. Tells us this is something you can click on and something will happen. So if we format these column headings as links, even if the links don't go anywhere, we'll get the cursor, which will indicate to the user, oh, these are clickable. So what I'm going to do is I want to wrap category, name, and quantity. I'm going to wrap them all inside of anchor tags. So I'm going to put each one on a new line, each set of TH tags. And if we just add basically a dead link, it just goes to the number sign. The link won't actually go anywhere. but at least it will render, the word category will be displayed as a link. So if I refresh now, when I mouse over category, it's clear, oh, I can click this and something will happen. And then I can do the same thing. Do it with name, and we'll do it with category as well. So each one of the column headings is now wrapped in an anchor tag, which will turn it into a link. If we want to style all our links to maybe use a different color, yep, we could do that as well. I don't really like the idea of using a button as the column heading, but entirely up to you. You could style it however you like. So if we just open up our style sheet for a minute, I'm just going to copy maybe my header color, and I want to use that color for all our links. So I'm going to use that same kind of lighter blue that we've got in the header. I mean, you could give it any kind of style that you want to. See if that actually. Okay, I'll come back to that. I'm not sure why my color doesn't load. I'll think about that one. I don't think my color changed, but it's okay. We'll leave it for now. So now we've got column headings. So we can use this JavaScript library. You can use it in any site. Anytime you have an HTML table and you want users to be able to sort that table, you can simply include the sortable.js library, add it into your layout or your header, and then use a class of sortable on any table. So column sorting, done. Any questions about using the library before we move into the filtering part of today's class? Okay, so we'll go back here. Actually, maybe what we'll do, maybe we will add our keyword search first. So we're going to need to build a little form. Is it? Thanks, Megan. Yes, that would make sense. Good suggestion, Megan. Of course. Thank you very much. So nice to have such smart students. Great to be teaching people smarter than me. Okay, so now we can use color in our links, which is great. Thanks. So let's build first a keyword search, and then we'll add the category dropdown afterwards. So up at the top of our items, right underneath our heading here, actually, let's see where we want to put it. Okay, we've got our, maybe we'll put it underneath our add an item. On this example, I put it at the top. I'm going to put it down here instead. So I got to close those PHP tags because we're going to put it in here. We'll maybe have a section. And in here, we'll have a form. Now, with our form, we don't actually need to specify any method or any action. And the reason is our form is actually going to use the get method, and it's going to submit to itself. So we don't have to specify another action page. So we'll have input name equals keyword. Placeholder. And it's not required. And then we'll just put on a button to search. So it's just a text box and a button. And when the user clicks it, the same page is going to reload, but we'll have a get value called keyword. So it'll look something like this. So we've got this search feature here. If I type something here, it reloads the same page, but my search term appears as part of the URL. So now we need to modify the query that runs on this page to check if we have a keyword up here, we need to add it into a where clause and bind a parameter so that we're only showing foods that match. And actually, just for fun, I don't think I have the same word in any. I'm going to add another food or two that have the same word. So when we search for that word, we can find multiple items. So I'm just going to add an item. I'll say kidney beans 1 from the pantry. So then when I search the word bean, it will show me both black bean soup and kidney beans. So we want to go back into our items page and we need to modify the query to check, do we have any kind of value? Do we have any get value called keyword? And if we do, we've got to modify the query. So we can start up here. Maybe we'll say keyword equals null. We're going to check for search criteria. And then we can use a function called isSet. It's kind of the opposite of empty. So if isSet get keyword. So if we've got a keyword parameter value in the URL, and if we do, that means the user typed something in that little text box. Whatever they are searching for shows up here, and we want to read that value, so we know what they searched. So before we prepare the command, we're going to need to check if our keyword is not null. We're going to need to append on a where clause here. And then before we execute, we're going to need to bind a second, we're going to need to bind a parameter where we can pass that keyword into the SQL. So if our keyword is not null, we're going to append on, and we can use dot equals. So keep the current value of our SQL variable, but then concatenate onto it. So in this case, it'll be where our items.name is like. And we'll create a parameter called :keyword. So we're going to add this on. We're going to tack this on to the end of the SQL statement that we've already got. We don't need to change the SQL on 32 and 33. It stays the same. But we're going to have to add a filter. And then we're going to need this same check again in between these two lines. We want to prepare the command with the full SQL query, but before we can execute it, if we have a keyword, we have to populate this value. So again, we'll say if keyword is not null, we have to fill that parameter. So I'm going to go ahead and try this out. I'll put this block of code up on Pastebin. It's not the whole page. So I'm going to try it out now. If I search for the word bean, I should get two items, black bean soup in kidney beans. But I got nothing. Okay. What if I search another item in the list? Now notice that worked. When I searched bean, I got nothing. How come? If I search burger, let me try another item. So I'm going to add this. So now I've got burger and Beyond Meat burger. How come it's only returning burger? Right. So you will have learned this in your relational database class. What's the problem here? How come it's only bringing up exact matches? You guys, I'm sure, have used the like keyword. Thank you, Ivan. So, right. If we just use like directly with our keyword, it looks for an exact match. We need wildcard characters on either side. So, in this case, we've got it before we can pass this keyword variable as our parameter, we've got to wrap it in wildcard characters. So if I save that, I'll just put that in the chat. Okay, just 1 second. And now let's try it again. So now when I search bean, right, it ignores characters both before and after the search term. So now it's working. I'm going to push my code up to GitHub. Let's take a bit of an earlier break today. Okay. I'm going to stretch my legs and step away from the computer for a few minutes. I'm going to stop the recording. We will come back just before 3, and then we'll add on the category drop down. And that'll be it for today. I promise I should have you out of here by 4 o'clock today. Okay. We'll come back. We'll resume at 3.